Hello and welcome to YHTV's Trinity of Life. This is episode 39. I'm Christina Souza, your host of this program. Thank you so much for joining me again as I continue to explore the wonderful world of healing arts, meditation, therapies, and the many modalities of helping us find balance in our individual journeys. We're always excited to meet those who are on the leading edge of creating change on this planet. Today, we are honored to have with us an individual who strives to support others to create balance in their lives through formulations of probiotics. I would like to welcome Harry Bernosian of Custom Probiotics to share his experience and expertise with us. Hello, Harry. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. It's, I have to tell everyone, Harry is also here in the La Crescenta area, which is very, very, very just above Los Angeles itself. So it was great to have him just shoot down here into our little studio and be present with us. So Harry, can you tell our audience a little bit about your history and your background and, how you came to be who you are today?
Sure. By the way, thank you very much for inviting me. Well, my educational background is I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry and then a master's in chemistry as well as a master's in chemical engineering. So I've been in this field since 1972, and I've worked the first 20 years in the field of environmental engineering, dealing with water, wastewater, sewage treatment, industrial wastewater treatment. And I've worked in different countries. I've worked in Saudi Arabia. I've worked in Dubai, Sharjah, as well as in the United States. So I've traveled a lot, and so that gave me a lot of experience. And so basically, my field is very scientific, and I like to do research. And I will tell you later on how I came by to be from the environmental engineering to the probiotics business. And there is a lot of similarities because in the environmental, in the wastewater treatment, in the sewage treatment, one should have in the aeration chamber, you should have a certain amount of bacteria so that when the raw sewage comes in, the existing bacteria will eat the sewage, and therefore it will treat the wastewater, and you will have 90% reduction in the improvement of the wastewater coming in and then going out. So I want to compare this sewage treatment with the digestive system because that is, again, the same idea where we have bacteria in the digestive system. Now, there is also a sewage treatment system that are anaerobic, which is without air, just similar to our digestive system, which is anaerobic. There's no air in the digestive system. And so in the anaerobic system, it takes more time to do the treatment of the sewage.
Because there is no air.
Yeah. It takes maybe 3, 4, 5 days to do the treatment, so it takes time. The reaction is rather slow. But in the digestive system also is not very quick, and so the food that we eat it goes into stays maybe 1 or 2 days in the colonic area, depending on the situation. It may be half a day or a few hours, depending what's going on, whether you have diarrhea or constipation and stuff like that. So, if the intestinal flora, the bacteria in the digestive system, is not in the proper balance, then we will have a problem. Just like in the sewage treatment system, if the concentration of the good bacteria is not at the proper level, if it is higher or lower, the system will not be working properly. So taking care of the bacterial situation in the sewage treatment system as well as in the digestive system is essential to get good results.
That's so interesting. I mean, I think as a commoner, we we don't know. We think the sewage system, it goes through, the drains and then it runs off into the ocean. And that's what we think about, right? We don't know about this middle area, which we've heard of filtrations and things like that are put up. But now you're telling us there's a whole new area where there is the chemicals in there that actually help to break down the sewage before it actually goes to the ocean. Is that right?
Exactly. And if when, let's say, in the Hyperion area, if the wastewater is not treated properly, they will know and they will stop and they will give alert saying that the sewage that is being going out, the treated wastewater, is a problem. So don't go swimming or anything. But in our system, well, in the human beings, we will feel something going wrong, a tummy ache or diarrhea, constipation, and or tiredness and various other symptoms that will make us alert, and therefore we should be careful in what we're eating.
Very interesting. So so we have our filtration system in our stomach.
Exactly.
And when you say that the food that we take in, it stays in our colon for about a day or so. Now, can you explain the colon to us, Harry, so that we have a little bit of a sort of a mental visual on that?
Yeah, well, the colon is, I think, 3 foot long, and it has an ascending part and a horizontal part and a descending part. So, and the colon, of course, is larger in diameter than the small intestine, and that is like an area where we store the treated the food that is being digested before it goes out. Now, the difference between the colon and the small intestine is that the majority of the bacteria in the colonic area, the majority of the bacteria in the digestive system are in the colon. 90% are in the colon. And therefore, the proper balance of the bacteria, whether it's good or bad, should be taken into consideration. In the small intestine, we don't have that much bacteria. In the large intestine, in our digestive system, we have 100 trillion bacteria in the whole digestive system.
100 trillion forms?
100 trillion bacteria in the digestive system, which is 10 times more than the number of cells that we have in our body. So we have 10 times more cells, 10 times more bacteria in the digestive system than the cells. So you can see that that's really overwhelming, and 90% of that is in the colon. So now, therefore, what's happening is that because of that thing, and the more we go down in the colonic area, as we go down in the colonic area, the more we go down, the higher the concentration of the bacteria. So that is why people have colon cancer versus small intestinal cancer, and the majority of the cancers are in the lower part of the colonic area. And when in that area, if you don't have the good bacterial concentration, if the majority are bad bacteria versus good bacteria, then with time you may have inflammation, and you may have erosion, and you may have the whole area will change in its function. And therefore, and if your immune system is low, and if you continue eating sugary stuff and junk foods, so that can produce cancerous situations. So taking care of what we eat and the flora balance, eating fermented foods, probiotics, yogurt, and stuff like that will make us prevent any future problems. And another thing is that as we grow older, the intestinal flora will not be as good as you're a young person. Like, for example, when I was, about 16 years old, and I used to play basketball. And I come home at 9 o'clock, and
then eat dinner.
ready to eat. And what do I eat? I go get a piece of steak, fry it, eat it, and go to bed within half an hour.
Oh.
Do you think I can do that right now? That'll be really, I will not be able to sleep for 4 hours maybe. And
Right.
I don't know if I will ever digest that fried steak, you know?
That's true.
So aging is, but there are many other factors are also that affect the intestinal flora. So the number one is antibiotics. When you take antibiotics are like machine guns. They kill bacteria.
Well, good and bad.
The good and the bad. So it doesn't know whether what is good, what is bad. So and depends how much antibiotics are you taking, which antibiotics you're taking, and so it kills the good and the bad bacteria, but it will not kill the yeast, for example, and therefore the good and bad bacterial concentration goes down. And the yeast will see that this is an opportunistic time for me to grow, and it starts controlling the digestive system. As a result, the whole digestive system is changed, and the absorption is reduced, the assimilation is reduced. As a result, you can have all kinds of problems: chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, candidiasis, and that will affect your immune system. So you see that the antibiotics is good in one way, but it has its problems. However, if you're going to take antibiotics, then it's good also to take probiotics, not exactly the same time, but let's say 2 hours apart. Let's say you're taking antibiotics normally you take it after a meal. So we suggest that you take probiotics on empty stomach first thing in the morning when you wake up, and just before you enter your bed. So that way, while you're taking antibiotics, you take the probiotics, but then dosage is also very important. So if you're taking heavy-duty antibiotics, taking 1 or 2 billion of probiotics will not do anything. So you need at least 50 or 100 billion to start with. And then after you're done with the antibiotics, then you have to play with the dosage of the probiotics, because if a lot of your good bacteria are gone, then you have to use higher dosages to bring back the balance, and depending on the situation as well. And dosages vary between 50 to 800 billion a day. So what's a good dosage? Nobody knows. So therefore, we go up gradually, and each person's dosage will be different, because the intestinal flora of every human being is different. It's like a fingerprint. So we experiment with the dosage, and it's within 1 or 2 weeks, the person will be able to find their optimum dosage, which is different from somebody else's. So you see that it's very important to understand what's going on in the body, in the digestive system. And I hope that nowadays the medical profession is more in tune with the probiotics, but not enough at all, because we see a lot of clients who suffer because of candida, of other complications because of the probiotics. And however, even if they are in a very bad situation, we can change the flora balance by playing with the dosage of the probiotics. So the field of probiotics is very interesting. It has been in the since the beginning of the last century, and the Russian scientist Mechnikov was the first to talk about the Bulgarian yogurt, etc. So, but in the last 20, 25 years, there's been a lot of research in that field, and there's a lot of clinical studies, and there are more than 9,000 articles published in medical journals about probiotics and IBD, IBS, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, etc. So it's a very interesting field, and I hope people understand that the taking care of their flora is essential, because without the good bacteria, we almost die. You know.
So I hear you've used two words here, which is flora and probiotic and bacteria.
Yeah.
So my understanding is there is good and there is bad bacteria. The bad bacteria is the one that causes infections and causes it's the stress on the system.
Yes.
And then there's the good bacteria that basically you need both of them to survive, right?
Yes. Well, let's start from the beginning now. Where do the bacteria come from in the first place? Now, while a woman is pregnant, and the child in the mother's belly will not have any bacteria. It'll be sterile. So where does the bacteria come from then? When the child is being born and passing through the birth canal, at that a few seconds or just a minute, the child will swallow the fluids from the mother, and as a result, the bacteria will go into the system of the child, and so the vaginal birth is a good way of getting the flora from the mother. Now, if the mother's flora is good, of course, if for one reason or another the mother has some kind of problems, whether it is yeast infection or whether it is any kind of bacterial problem in the body or low immune system, the child's flora will not be as good. Okay, so the second way of having birth is C-section, cesarean section. Now, during cesarean section, the child is born without passing through the birth canal, and therefore the only way by which they can get the bacteria is through the environment of the hospital, which is not as good as the vaginal flora. And therefore, when
you say the environment of the hospital, what do you mean by that? It just means that whatever it's breathing in at the time?
Yes, exactly.
Which is not always very clean in a hospital.
Exactly. And you will have more of the bad bacteria in the child versus the good bacteria. Exactly how it is coming in and going, what's the mechanism, I don't particularly know, but that is what all the research indicate. And when we deal with mothers whose children have some problems at very young age, we always ask the question, is the child C-section born or vaginal? Now, the second cause of flora imbalance for the infant will be if the child is breastfed or not breastfed. So if the child is breastfed, in the mother's milk, there is the good bacteria, bifidobacteria, and not only bifidobacteria, but there are components in the mother's milk that will overgrow the good bacteria. So like a prebiotic, and therefore in the mother's milk will be very nutritious, and as well as will assist the child to have a good flora in the system. And it's always good to have breastfeeding for 1 year or even 2 years. However, not every mother can do that. We have mothers who cannot do anything regarding that, or they can do it for 2 months, 6 months, or 3 months, or 2 weeks, whatever. So if that is the case, then it's important to take probiotics at a dosage which is a very low dosage, but a multi-strain formula, or basically 2 or 3 strains of lactobacilli and bifidobacteria, so that it helps the child's immune system and the digestive system. So So one has to understand the mechanism of why things are happening, because the child's immune system becomes well established by the age of 3. So during that time, also the intestinal flora becomes well established by the age of 3. Not only that, the brain, the mind, everything.
Yes.
By the age of 3, it becomes well established. Now I'm going to come to the next level of the autism. Based on our experience, we have more than 8,000 mothers whose children are in the autism section, autism situation all over the world. So we ship our probiotics all over the world. So, and we see that we have a questionnaire on our website. And the questionnaire is, the first question is, what do you think as a mother, what do you think is the cause of autism of your child? And the second question, at what age did you found out that your child is in the spectrum? At the third question, what are the symptoms of your child? And the fourth, what factors, what treatments are working for your child? So this, and we put all these responses. We have more than 100 responses from mothers, and we put all that on our website so that mothers or families with children with autism, they learn from the experiences of others. Now, why did I mention this? Because through all the responses, we see that all of the responses, they say that the age is between 0 to 3. During that time is when they find out about autism for their child. Normally around 1 to 2 years old. And so now, what is the reason that is happening? That age of 0 to 3 is very important because during that time, if, for example, the mother during childbirth had some problems, and then when the child is born, if they take a lot of antibiotics, if they take some other drugs, if the child is not breastfed, is C-section, so, and then all these affect negatively the intestinal flora and the immune system. And then afterwards, if they get vaccination, and especially if they get 2-3 vaccinations, then as a result, you have a lot of factors that are affecting negatively the immune system of the child. And therefore, we see a lot of parents that they say that as soon as they got the vaccination, they found out they immediately saw a complete change about the behavior as well as of the child. And therefore, it's important that the pediatricians, before they give antibiotics or vaccinations or anything, they evaluate the immune system of the child. They find out about, ask questions about whether the mother had problems, C-section, breastfeeding, and they have to make sure that the immune system is good enough to be able to take the burden of the load of the vaccinations, especially if they're giving 2, 3, or 4 vaccinations in one shot. So if the child is C-section born, not breastfed, they've taken a lot of antibiotics, and if I'm the pediatrician, they bring me the child, they say, I'm not touching the child until I find until I improve the situation, and then I can give the vaccinations one at a time. And there are some parents who, because of this uncertainty, they're afraid even of using vaccination. So, but once you understand what's happening, then you can have the right strategies. But unfortunately, the medical profession, the pediatricians, they do not understand well the intestinal microflora. If they don't understand, then that's the fundamental part of the immune system. And therefore, we have mothers who have nowadays the autism, the percentage of autism have gone down, have gone up. I mean, from 150, 1 in 150 child to 1 in 80 child.
Oh my.
So this is a huge, and the mothers and the families, they spend thousands of dollars and time in trying to improve that situation. Not to mention the psychological, the family problems, the divorces, etc., due to all these issues. Now,
which causes more stress on the child as well.
exactly.
Right? So the more breakdown of the immune system.
And so we have many clients who use our delactate-free probiotic formulation because that in that formula we do not use Acidophilus and plantarum, because there's a lab called Metametrics. They have done studies. They found that a lot of autistic children have high delactate in their system. Delactate is a byproduct of probiotic fermentation. And that can produce neurological problems. So therefore, we have a formula without those two strains, only for children in the autism spectrum.
Oh, that's very interesting. And yet the delactate would be considered in on a normal situation or an average situation, it would be considered a good probiotic.
Yeah, Acidophilus, we have many other formulations in which we always use Acidophilus and plantarum.
Except that one formulation.
And we use it, for example, for people who have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, candida, etc. And so the basic idea of all this is not that we're trying to treat a disease, but we're trying to normalize the flora. Once you normalize the flora, then you improve, your situation becomes normal. Now, and then playing with the dosage and all that. So one has to understand all this, and so it's essential. So when we use probiotics, delactate-free formulation, other companies use other formulations, but there's a gut-brain relationship. Let me talk about that. That's very important. When the gut becomes toxic, it also hits the brain. Now, between the age of 0 to 3, the brain is not well developed. So during that time, if we have a situation where the gut flora becomes very bad because of C-section, etc., that I talked about, then the toxicity will hit the brain, especially when you take the vaccinations as well in addition. Then that toxicity hits the brain, then the more the flora imbalance in the digestive system, the more the effect on the brain, and therefore the more the results, the negative results. So therefore, understanding that gut-brain relationship, there's a lot of articles on gut-brain relationships, and there are really many, many good articles published in medical journals. And so that is why we see the 99% of autism occurring between 0 to 3, because that's the time when the brain is not well developed, and therefore that is the most important time for parents to really take care of their children. After that, their flora becomes more balanced, they become more established, but again, as we grow older, again, we use probiotics for different issues, although it's established. One thing that I want to mention also, that the probiotic bacteria do not implant permanently. So, for example, you take probiotics today, the good bacteria goes up, and when you don't take it, it goes down. It doesn't implant permanently.
So wait a minute. So it doesn't. But the bacteria in the body, whether it be good or bad, there must be a way that it would accumulate on its own or grow on its own, because it's like how the bad bacteria would take over and the person will start to feel sick.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen with the good bacteria?
Okay, so when you take probiotics, what's happening? Let's say that you have 100 of the good bacteria and 1,000 of the bad bacteria, right? So we have more of the bad versus the good. So we add the good bacterial concentration. And what's happening? We're changing, let's say, make it even, for example, the environment of the colonic area is changed. Therefore, that change of environment will affect the digestion, the assimilation, and their immune system. And then we can go even higher. Let's say it becomes 10,000 versus 1,000 or 100, whatever. And so if you take too much probiotics, it's not going to create a problem for you. It may give you some diarrhea or constipation. And if that happens, then you know that, hey, I took too much. But by changing the flora situation, we are normalizing the situation, and therefore we should feel fine. To a certain extent. That certain extent is very important. And there are a lot of factors that affect the immune system of a person. So how much benefit the probiotics will do may vary from person to person, from autistic child to another autistic child. But probiotics by itself is not the solution. Diet and probiotics go hand in hand. So if somebody eats a lot of sugary stuff and junk food, and then they come and talk to me, they say, Harry, your probiotics is not working. I say, wait a minute. You're eating junk food and sugary stuff. Bad bacteria and yeast grow on sugar. And therefore, we always suggest to stay away from sugary stuff. You can eat some fruits, of course, but no cookies, no candies, and no sugary stuff. Because bad bacteria and yeast, they love sugar, they grow, they start controlling the digestive system. And therefore, diet and probiotics goes hand in hand. So that's very important.
So, Harry, again, we hear the word flora that you say. Is flora the name of the good bacteria? Okay, so now let us say, what are these flora? Well, we have more than 500 different bacteria in the digestive system, 500. Nowadays, they are even finding more, maybe 800 or 900. So, so in the case of probiotics, there are two major parts or families. We have lactobacilli and we have bifidobacteria. So lactobacilli reside mainly in the small intestine, although we have some of it are in the large intestine. And the bifidobacteria reside mainly in the large intestine. Okay? So now, the basic bacteria, probiotic bacteria in the lactobacilli family are the Acidophilus, Salivarius, Rhamnosus, Plantarum, Casei, Paracasei, and a few others. So just to name a few of the 500, right?
No, not 500. The 500 are the majority are the bad bacteria. We don't have, and it's very difficult to isolate the bacteria. Although there are many scientists who are doing it nowadays, and but the good bacteria, the number in the probiotic field, maybe 20, 25, 30 maximum, versus the 500. But in the 500, we have about 40 of them, which are the most predominant. One of the predominant bad bacteria can be this Clostridium difficile. Clostridium difficile or C. difficile is the bacterial overgrowth, especially when you take a lot of antibiotics. Like when people enter a hospital, they give a lot of antibiotics, then they start having diarrhea and severe diarrhea. And as a result, they have to take other antibiotics to kill that bacteria.
Oh, yeah. I know that very well because that actually happened to me as a child. They would go from one antibiotic to the next, and the next thing I was having to take other antibiotics to counteract that, and to also counteract secondary infections I would get because of the weakening of my body.
Exactly.
So I wish you were around that many years ago.
Okay, but nowadays, medical doctors, gastroenterologists especially, here in Glendale, we have the Glendale Memorial Hospital. They are organizing various lectures about digestive issues, digestive problems, and doing some research. and they are even doing some implantation of somebody else's feces in the colonic area of the person with C. difficile,
Wow.
so that it normalizes the flora very quickly. So you see that there's no limit to the type of research that the gastroenterologist should do, so that problems are solved, other than just the antibiotic part.
Mm.
And also we have clients who have C. difficile, and we have a formula for C. difficile, and they go up in dosage up to 800 billion a day to change the flora composition, so that they will be in a remission situation.
Oh my.
So you see that a lot of work is being done, and all those doctors who are research oriented will give results, and will make people healthier. And prevention is the most important. So especially in the hospitals, it should be a standard procedure to use probiotics when they are taking antibiotics. And but because probiotics are not necessarily FDA approved or anything, that is why they do not use it. But I think that the FDA should should suggest at least uh, that to be
I do
done. But
believe they have started actually in the hospitals. I do believe they've started, but the dosage is like a million microorganisms as opposed to your 50 billion.
yeah, well,
So you see, but it's a start. It's a start. And I think those formulations have been approved to be used, I do believe, because I saw this 2 years ago already.
yeah, or at least they can give some yogurt in the hospital, and uh, no meat and stuff like that. But it's
But Harry, the yogurt that they use in the hospitals have so much sugar.
oh yeah,
It has so much sugar, and it's like the also the food supplements.
yeah.
You know, I won't name them, but it has so much sugar. And I say, why are you giving the patients these things that have so much sugar? Because you know
Yeah.
it just increases the bad bacteria in the body when it's feeding off of that high sugar. And they're saying, well, the sugar's for the energy, and it's like, wow. What about a green drink?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
for example, when I was in the hospital for some problem, I um, I was very selective in what I was getting, and my friend brought me some cucumber and some other natural stuff that I could eat while I'm in the hospital, and so that I'm in a better shape.
Mm-hmm. And you healed faster, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Harry, I mean, it seems like the research never stops.
Yeah.
The research for probiotics and the flora in the body, etc., and the balance of it seems endless. Do you work very closely with the doctors, with the gastroenterologist? I do believe it's their correct title.
Not too many gastroenterologists. We have a few, uh, but there are many doctors who are nutritional oriented, medical doctors, nutritional oriented, nutritionists, health food stores, um, and there are some doctors in the Glendale Memorial Hospital, um, and but we are open to cooperate with any medical institution to do either clinical studies or evaluations in a very scientific way, so that um, it'll be result oriented, so that from the gastroenterological point of view, uh, it becomes acceptable. And so we are open for that with any company, and we can make any formulation that they want. That's why the company is called Custom Probiotics. We can make maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 of the lactobacilli, 2 or 3 of the bifidobacteria, or we can make a 9 strain or 11 strain formulation. And the number of strains is important in some cases, where a certain formula doesn't work, then we make another formula, and so we can even rotate formulations, so that what we care is the result, the outcome.
Yes.
And it's, to my opinion, doing clinical studies is not that easy, because every person's flora is different, and every person's dosage is different. Maybe the formulation is different, and the outcome is different. However, one has to compare the result of probiotics versus without using probiotics, or even comparing the probiotics with the drugs. For example, in the case of IBD, which is irritable bowel disease, they use different types of drugs to reduce inflammation. So if they add to that probiotics, then you can get a much better effect, and they can compare the results. So this is very interesting, because from the medical point of view, what any medical doctor should care is what's the result. If it's whatever result, if the result can be improved, then that's a better way of solving problems.
Mm-hmm. So, Harry, I'm very curious, of course. Now, how is it that you were working with environmental organizations, and how is it that you came into this field of probiotics?
Okay, so my answer to that is very simple. For every bad thing, there's a good thing. Okay, some people have some kind of disease, some kind of problem, even cancer, but one learns a lot from their problem. And you have to do research and see what can be done to improve your health. So, and as you grow older, the problems of human beings will increase. So we have to take care of ourselves as we grow older. So in my case, when I was like, 35, I took antibiotics, tetracycline, and as a result, I started feeling bad. My digestion was feeling bad. I started having some prostate problems. And it took me a while to figure out that I had a yeast issue, and started taking some anti-yeast medication, and I felt great. I mean, I felt much better. And then after 15 years, in 20 years almost, in 1999, I started having stomach pain. And I found out that, and then I went to a gastroenterologist. They did an endoscopy. They found that I have H. pylori in my stomach.
And that is a disease of some
H.
sort?
pylori is the bacteria that causes ulcers.
Oh,
okay, so, and the orthodox medical treatment is you have to take 2 or 3 antibiotics for 15 days to kill that bacteria in the stomach. And so, however, the percentage success of that protocol is 70 to 80%. So there's a chance of 20% or 30% that it will fail, and it happens a lot. So in my case, because I had yeast infection already, yeast issues, and plus on top of it, getting the triple antibiotics would have been very disastrous. So I saw 10 gastroenterologists. 9 of them wanted to give me triple antibiotics, and the last one said, I will not give you antibiotics, but take some antacid and eat yogurt, and that's as far as I will go. And he was a director of a gastroenterological department in a hospital, so it's very well known. So, but as I did research, I found that taking the antacid in the stomach is not that good, because then you need acidity in the stomach. And so otherwise bad bacteria can go down. So I started doing research. I found that a Japanese company or Japanese doctors are using certain probiotic bacteria to kill H. pylori. that's how I started thinking about the probiotic business. And that's how I started doing research and made contacts, started making different formulations, and I started thinking high dosages of probiotics.
Mm.
As a result, after 8 months of probiotics and the antacid treatment, I did another endoscopy with the same doctor, and he found no H. pylori.
Wow. And so you never even approached the antibiotics that were suggested.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that it will be applicable to everybody.
Correct.
So I'm giving you my personal experience because of the research, and nowadays there are many more articles on H. pylori and probiotics.
Mm.
So it's good to try that option. It's good to discuss all these things, whatever I'm talking about, with your doctor, with your gastroenterologist, and optimize the treatment so that you get the best results.
Mm-hmm.
So combining the nutritional and the probiotic aspect with the medical advice and approaches is the best way of solving problems.
Mm.
And so that and of course diet, which we have to be very selective when we go to a restaurant as to what we're eating, what we're drinking.
Yes.
So that we don't overdo things. Sometimes we cheat and we see the results. As a result of that, then we say never again, but we do it again. That's what life is all about. So
interesting. Do you have people that you know that continue on their probiotics daily?
yes, well, you can take probiotics daily, and you can take it every other day as well. It is not a drug or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nobody can say that you have to take this many twice a day, like the medical doctor, the drugs that are being used in pharmaceutical drugs.
Yes.
They say use, let's say, one in the morning or one at bedtime or whatever. In this case, you're free. If you forget for a few days, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to affect. It may affect negatively a little bit, but it's not fundamental because playing with the flora. Depending, if some people has a lot of bad situation, it's good to take it on a daily basis. But it's not necessary if you forget for a month, and if you feel that hey, you're not feeling as good, you can start back again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the probiotic bacteria, you will not get used to it. I mean, it's to what you're changing the environment in that area, and that's all. I mean, so one has to understand what is going on. It's very important, and the medical doctors should understand and explain. However, because of so much information now and advertising about probiotics,
Mm-hmm.
People have much more capability of being self-educated.
Right.
And they always compare different. We have clients that have used this or that company's product.
Sure.
And it's always good to compare and find whichever one is working better or worse, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the options are here, and I'm glad that until now the FDA is not putting unnecessary controls on probiotics.
Right.
Maybe someday they will do it. But another thing is in our business, we also sell yogurt starters because we have many clients, like you were mentioning, that in the hospital you have yogurt that is full of sugar. Uh, but we have parents, especially with autism, children with autism, they want to buy, let's say, goat's milk or raw milk or very good quality milk, and then add the yogurt starter to it and nothing else.
Right.
And so that they have the best yogurt for their family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then later on they can add some fruit to it to eat it or something. So yogurt becomes a very good natural way of normalizing the flora.
Mm-hmm.
And we have many clients who use our yogurt starters, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you know what's funny is I actually take the capsule of Acidophilus and break it into the yogurt.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I just put the whole capsule in there and just eat the yogurt.
And the difference between yogurt and probiotic yogurt, there's a yogurt association that they put a stamp on the quality of the yogurt that you buy from the stores. Minimum, you should have 100 million bacteria per gram of yogurt. 100 million per gram. Per gram. So if per kilo, which is 2 pounds, it'll be 100 billion. Okay? So one of our capsules is 50 billion. So, but the difference is that yogurt is a food, and there's calcium in it, some other components. So making yogurt is another way of putting the good bacteria in the digestive system. And we have clients, they ask us, especially mothers with children, they say, well, the powder, when we mix it with water, the child doesn't want to drink it or something, what else we can do? We say, okay, you can add some applesauce to it or some apple juice to it, or you can make a smoothie with some fruits or whatever, and you can add the probiotics in it, and the child will never even know.
Right.
Or you can add the probiotics to yogurt, mix it, and just eat it, just like you're doing it. We have.
It's actually really fun for the children to actually take the capsule and open it themselves, and sprinkle it onto their yogurt or cereal or, as you say, applesauce of it. And the food or the substance should be cold. Isn't that correct?
Room temperature or cold is fine. And the way the yogurt is fermented, in order to have yogurt, you need, normally you heat the milk to, let's say, 150 degrees Fahrenheit or more, or 100 degrees. And then at that temperature, at 100 degrees, you add the yogurt starter and then you have to incubate it in a yogurt maker that keeps that temperature, 100 degrees, because at that temperature, the bacteria grows faster, the good bacteria. If you do it at 50 degrees, then it'll take much longer time. After you make the yogurt, that takes 8 hours, 10 hours, or 24 hours. We have people who do a 24-hour fermentation. Then after you're done, you put it in the refrigerator. Then after 8 hours, you can eat it. It'll be something that people do all the time.
It's very interesting because, the yogurts have a due date on it. And they are always refrigerated, of course. And I could remember a holistic doctor that I was with one day, and I had left the yogurt on the counter because I had to work, and I had just left it half eaten. And I came back, and I was just about to throw it away, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to throw it away." He goes, "No," he says, "it's okay. It's just room temperature right now. It's actually better for you right now." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So, they said it's still fine because the bacteria, as it warms up, it continues to cultivate.
Yeah. So. And in the past, when there was no probiotic the way we know, but more than 100 years ago, they used to ferment it in a warm place, and they get some kind of bacteria somehow. And then at that time, more than 100 years ago, our flora balance, intestinal flora, was in a better shape.
Yes.
And because we ate everything natural, there were none of these junk foods. And another thing is that at that time, things were not as clean as they are now. We make everything ultra clean, which will reduce our capability to fight infection. Now everything is very clean. So at that time, the way they stored it underground or something, all kinds of stuff around it, God knows, and so people got used to it. Yeah. Now with the change with the drug business, that situation become not natural. So how can we bring the situation back to normalcy while considering the benefits of drugs is the right way of solving problems.
Absolutely. Oh, and Harry, can you go over with us? We have a few more minutes here. When people are trying to regulate the levels of Acidophilus or the level of the flora in their body by taking the probiotics, what were some of the side effects that they would know, okay, this is too much, I need to change?
Yeah, as I mentioned, if they have diarrhea or constipation, or if they feel tired, or like they sleep a lot. By the way, I did not mention if when you take probiotics, you relax and you sleep better because especially at night, when your flora is not balanced, you will feel agitated and you will not sleep well. So when you take probiotics at bedtime, you relax, you sleep better. And we see that with a lot of our clients, including myself. And taking at bedtime is a good time because then it goes down and you're sleeping, it does its work, and you relax.
Interesting. So one of the biggest signs would be if there's too much probiotic, as we're testing it for our own bodies, the signs would be diarrhea or constipation and too lethargic all the time.
And from the safety point of view, until now, we have been in business for 12 years. We did not see any of our clients having any issue of getting infected because of the probiotics. Although there are some studies where they say that if somebody has very, very low immune system, and if you give probiotics probably at high dosages, it may infect them. But until now, we have not seen that because probiotic bacteria are bacteria. And so, for example, you should not inhale it or so that's why it's always good mix it in water. You can also do colonics. And after colonics, you can do enemas and you can keep the good bacteria in the colonic area and let's say for half an hour. That's another way of people who are do enemas or colonics. They do direct implantation. And so these are all natural ways of doing things. And, but one has to be careful with whatever you do, whether it's drugs or dietary supplements or whatever. They should be in very good quality. They should with good certificate of analysis, and so that for one reason or another, one has to be. And we do independent lab testing to verify the bacterial count. And that's how we know the quality of our probiotics, because what we say on the label has no value. We send it to a lab in Wisconsin, they test it, they give us the result. Like our capsules, we say 50 billion per capsule at the time of expiration. After we make the product, we send it to the lab. This latest batch indicated 85 billion per capsule. So we always over-design so that by the time of expiration, we're in good shape. So quality control in whatever you do is in the case of nutrition. And that's how people will benefit. And that's what we are after.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harry. This has been such a full hour with you and with so much information. And we look forward, if there's any further research that comes up, you have to let us know, because we'd love to bring you back so that you can share with us whatever you find.
Yeah, there's a website called PubMed, www.pubmed.com, which is P-U-B as boy, M-E-D, pubmed.com. And you can put any medical condition. You can put probiotics, breast cancer, colon cancer, candida, headache, whatever you want to put in there. And then you press go. You get articles published in medical journals on that topic. The majority are abstracts, but there are some that you can get the full article. So I suggest that people who want to do research, that's a good way of doing things and taking care of their health, because many times getting the right information is not that
Yes.
easy. It doesn't come that easy.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot out there right now, and a lot to be accessed, when people just plug it in, Google it, as they say. There's a lot of information out there, and you have to be very discerning about what you believe and what is actual factual. So thank you so much, Harry. We so have appreciated you sharing all this information with us.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us and supporting us in this new platform of education and information. We are grateful for your continuous support, and we look forward to hearing on how we can support you better. We invite you to join us live on Tuesdays for Magical Medical Tour at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 Eastern Time. Wednesdays for Trinity of Life at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, followed every other week with Flowing into Awareness with Anatara. To learn more about our special guest, Harry Bernosian, and Custom Probiotics, please, we encourage you to visit customprobiotics.com, and you can also follow them on Facebook. Thank you, and until next time, namaste.